Hello everyone, my name is Philetic and we are back with Tea and Tyria episode 7, and if you're new to Tea and Tyria, this is basically where we just sit down, casually talk about Guild Wars 2 over a nice beverage of either a cup of tea, coffee, or maybe just the beverage that is the glorious Guild Wars 2 news and updates and what have you. So you might be thinking, well, why am I just watching a splash screen? And that's because hopefully after this episode, on episode 8, we're going to be transitioning into a live show. We're going to be going live, we're going to be doing it live, and yeah, so this is basically a test of XSplit to make sure that I'm using it well, that everything nicely works. I was going to do this one live, as a couple of people might know. I sort of announced on Twitter, hey, I could do this live, so I put it up on my Twitch TV channel, and boom, lag just slapped me around the face, and it wasn't very nice. So in about 3 minutes I turned it off, to the very sad faces of the people watching. But to those few, very few people, I do apologise, but yeah, hey ho, hopefully next week that's how it's going to be happening. And of course the videos will still be available on YouTube, and hopefully I'm going to get an iTunes playlist so that you can watch, well, you can listen to Tea and Tyria for free, of course, whilst on the move, or maybe in a game, or however, but just the audio version of Tea and Tyria. So as I talk about what is coming up on today's show, I'm going to be going into some Keg Brawl. Now, who played some Keg Brawl over the weekend? Because if you did, oh my days, it just took me by surprise. I never even would have thought that Keg Brawl would be so much fun. I literally thought minigames were going to be a lot less involved, if you like. I thought they might just be like, I don't know, aiming a gun at a target. I mean, it's like, oh hey ho, yeah, that's amazing. I never thought they were going to be this in depth and this much fun. So definitely really excited for the other mini games that ArenaNet are going to come up with. So yeah, this was actually a really close game. You're not going to see the whole game in this, but it was ridiculously close. Of course, there's some FPS drops here and there, but there's a guy that's called Dobby who was ridiculously good and clearly just played Keg Brawl throughout the whole thing. But yeah, that's what's going to be in the background. In today's episode, we're going to be talking a little bit about Be Weekend 3, some controversy that's going over the questing, and basically what I think it's going to be like as an MMO now that we, you know, all the beta weekends are over. I'm going to go over some from PvP. I'm going to show you what websites you can go visit for good information and for just, you know, good talk about PvP in Guild Wars 2 overall, and an awesome YouTuber. I'm going to show you a little bit of his video because it's just so much, it's so worth it to watch it, because if you're into PvP, definitely gotta go and subscribe to that guy. And then I want to introduce you guys to a new thing that I'm hoping to do if you guys get on board, because it's something that can be really good, but you guys need to get on board with it. And yeah, that's hopefully going to be all that. So the questing, obviously the questing thing that I'm talking about, a lot of people thought that the questing was too easy. And by questing, I generally just mean going around in the world and leveling up, because of course Guild Wars 2 questing is a little bit different from what we're used to. But basically the actual mobs, the difficulty of the mobs and the difficulty of the game is a little bit too easy. Too easy to kite people around, it's too easy to just, you know, like, easy to dodge people. Literally, as a level 5, you can probably take on a level 10 mob by just kiting it around and dodging out of its attacks and what have you. And for veteran MMO players, it's a little bit too easy, but hopefully I sort of agree with this. I do think that it's a little bit easy at the moment. It's a little bit of a breeze, but of course we're all getting used to the game, we're all testing the game, and this is the stuff that we've got to come up with and tell ArenaNet, you know, hey ho, this could be harder, this could be harder, you know, try and improve in these areas. So if I do agree with this, I hope that ArenaNet, I think their idea of it is that after we get past sort of level 25 to 30ish, that's when the game really snowballs forward and starts getting a lot harder, because I think progression in the game is very important, even though there's going to be new players to the game and new players to MMOs who really do need that really easy introductory content just to get themselves used to the game, used to the controls, and used to how everything's working. By the time you hit level 20 to level 25, if you've got that far, you're definitely going to be into the game, you're definitely going to be knowing what you're doing, or at least you should know what you're doing. So from that point, the game should take a turn and the game should get a lot harder, in my opinion. That's how I hope Arena are taking it, and that's how I've sort of seen it for this most part. Because what I'm going to do now is I'm going to flip into sorry to end that sort of abruptly, but I'm going to flip into this fire elemental boss. Now, whether you've seen this or not, it's a perfect example of sort of communication between random people in an event. I wasn't talking to any of these guys, and no one was in my guild. I was just out here playing by myself in this dynamic event, and suddenly this golem turned into a fire elemental. And as you can see, obviously this is a massive quest chain that came up to this event. But I'm going to do a whole different video on this, which is going to explain the whole event and sort of my feelings behind the event. But I wanted to give a brief overview in this week's Tyria, just to sort of heighten this point of how the sort of toll the game's taking on its players. So for example, this event, I'm playing with random people, I don't know any of them, and we just came across it. Now, we all have to work together and use the mechanics of the game that we have learnt up to this point to keep everybody alive and to get this boss down. This boss has a ridiculous amount of HP. It takes a lot of beatings to get it down, put it that way. It took a very long time, it's about a half-an-hour fight, but if you look at it, I quite like that because it's really engaging. I mean, for example, if you're the type of player that comes on each day and just plays for an hour or so, once you've finished this event, that's like 45 minutes of your time gone just doing one epic event. And then you go off, maybe do a bit of your personal story, and then hey ho, put your keyboard down, you walk out your room and you've just had like an epic hour session on Guild Wars 2. And that's sort of the way the game's set up at the moment, so you can jump in and just use the people around you to help you and aid you into the quest. Because a lot of MMOs, and this is this is the direction that Arena's trying to take, is that you would, in order to do this sort of stuff, you would have to be in a guild, or you have to be in an organised group, or at least in an instance group where you can all talk to each other without the haywire of everybody else in the area going ballistic because there's a massive fire elemental in your dungeon or in your raid. But the way Guild Wars 2 set up is, it makes it really easy for you to to work with other people without having to communicate, with the red circles being bad circles, the white circles being good circles. If someone's down, you get them back up. If someone's defeated, you get them back up. And it really shows a good level of how the community, I suppose, how Arena's built a game based around community, and this is a perfect example on that. Of course, the video doesn't show it off as much, you sort of have to be there. I was definitely looking around constantly to see anyone who was down. I was looking to see if anyone can pick me up, and you're doing all these things whilst trying to dodge mobs, whilst trying to dodge out of circles, whilst trying to dodge annoying flying fire elementals that will slap you in your face half the time. But it's just so engaging, and it's just so exciting to see this sort of content at this level, because you gotta think, I can't see what level I am at the moment, but I'm probably around level 14 or so, and already I'm doing this quite advanced sort of raid boss, really. And I mean, there's a lot of people here. And also, another point I wanted to pick up on is the down state, because once you're defeated like this, it takes so long for you to get back up. If someone's come on over and heal me up now, it takes a hell of a lot longer to get me back up than if I was in a down state. So it really stresses the importance of being able to get people back up in down state, and your eyes are constantly moving. So people that think the game is just like button bashing, and it's, you know, it's no skill at all. It's a lot to do with how your eyes are moving, and how it's a lot to do with the battlefield rather than your keybinds. You're not looking at bars anymore, you're actually looking at the battle, and that's something Arena have said from the start. They don't want it so that you're just looking at add-ons and you're looking at your bars. They want it so you're actually looking at your screen, you're looking to see what's happened. And in this case, you're looking to see people who are downed, you're looking to see people who are defeated, you're wanting to position yourself in the right place so you can deal damage to the boss whilst getting somebody up. All this sort of stuff goes through your mind, and when you're getting taught this at this low level, all it does is make me really excited to see what it's going to be like at level 80, for example, and the sort of bosses that we're going to be seeing there. As you can see, all my gear is just completely broke towards the end of that fight there, and also it's really hard. But like I say, I'm going to do a completely different video on that, sort of explaining everything that I came up with. And also I did a couple of notes. I made a couple of notes right after I defeated the Fire Elemental boss, just off the top of my head, whilst I was just after the actual event. So I'll go over that as well, but that'll be another time. I just wanted to sort of show you that, to give you a little I don't know, a little taste of that boss. And if you guys did it, definitely, you know, do you agree with me? Do you not agree with me? If you did that boss, you know, was it sort of an example of how people work together in the game? And if so, is that a problem? Would you prefer to have an instant 10-man to 25-man, even 40-man raid groups? Or would you prefer it to be out in the open and for the game to force everybody to work together to defeat it? Because sometimes when you're not in an instance group, it can backfire and people won't get people up. People won't really communicate with the team properly. And that can sometimes backfire and become a little bit of a problem. So the PvP segment, a lot of people, as you can see in the background actually, because I've just switched to it, this is Boons and Conditions, or GW2BNC.com. Now Boons and Conditions are a Guild Wars 2 fan site, and as you can see at the top here, they have articles, and it's basically, they have news articles, podcasts. They do pretty much everything you can ask of them to do. And as you can see, they sort of have guides on builds. They do different stuff, and they're basically taking a direction and they're focusing on PvP. This is something they've sort of said quite recently. I was once going to be a sort of video producer for Boons and Conditions, so a lot of my stuff you probably would have seen over on their channel and over on this site, for example, but due to time zones and what have you, it was quite hard to pull off. But I do really think that Boons and Conditions are sort of taking the right direction in the Guild Wars 2 community, and they're a fan site that deserves the recognition, basically. And they're taking a PvP directed role, so they really want to focus on PvP. And as you can see, they're uploading tournaments that they've played with Alpha Collective, and Alpha Collective are a competitive PvP team that are really looking to get big in the competitive scene, so that's quite exciting as well. And as you can see, they've uploaded their tournaments here with a little bit of writing to sort of say about the video, and of course you can watch the video themselves. And of course they have their podcast with Philetic, the sort of, I don't know, the boss guy behind Boons and Conditions, if you like, and of course the Alpha Collective guys, who also just did 24-hour live streams over the time of all the beta weekends. So that was just absolutely insane. Well, definitely beta weekend 1 and beta weekend 2 and 3. Not quite sure about beta weekend 1, but basically they're hardcore Guild Wars 2 fans, and if you're into PvP, this is the place to go. You've got podcasts, you've got videos, you've got articles, and you've got a forum, and of course you can even join in their public server, their public TeamSpeak or whatever it is server. So yeah, that's basically a website you can visit if you're into PvP and you're wondering, where can I go to really get into the PvP community? Well, here it is. So yeah, that's somewhere you can go. Now, the Guild Wars 2 YouTuber that I want to sort of feature today is KaeyiDream. Now, KaeyiDream, as you can see, all of these links, by the way, will be in the description below if you want to go and check that out. KaeyiDream just basically does commentary over his PvP, and he's very, very skilled. He knows what he's talking about, and he does it really well, and he's been doing it for quite a few games now. I used to watch him when he used to do it for Warhammer Online. He's done it for WoW. He's done it for he's done it for Rift as well. He's basically just a PvP hardcore fanatic, and now he's ridiculously really into Guild Wars 2, and he's also I think he's featured on Guildcast, the podcast, quite famous podcast. So basically he's quite a big name, and yeah, if you haven't heard of him, I'll definitely recommend to watch his PvP videos. So what I'm going to show you a little clip of one now with him sort of fighting a Mesmer, and you can sort of see everything that's going on, I suppose.
What up, it's Ed Park, aka KaeyiDream. My previous video was a second round 5v5 tournament match with the vent audio. This is the same footage but with my narrated commentary. We started off short-handed 4 versus 5 because one of our teammates, Rioser, had to reboot his computer. The cool thing is that you can rejoin a match even if you get disconnected. So my responsibility was Mansion. We managed to cap 2 of the 3 points, but then a Mesmer came and flipped Mansion, so I have to go take it back. And after opening up with the rifle 4 vulnerability debuff. I hit him with a rifle 3, and the channel goes all the way up to 6k, and since I have full adrenaline, I go ahead and cast the kill shot, the long cast burst ability. It turns out he doesn't counter it, so I keep that in reference for future. But usually I don't crit people for 9k very often. It's usually only when they spec glass cannony. So I was putting out some pretty significant deeps on this Mesmer, but he uses his I win button, aka the elite skill Moa Bird, which will transform you into a Moa Bird for 10 seconds. You can't use your elite abilities. It kind of sucks. Anyway, so I come back here and use the Axe 3 to snare him, Axe 2 for the armor debuff, and the Axe ability is really, really good. I mean, it just deals a lot of damage. You know, the main catch is for the auto attack chain to hit, you got to be within melee range. I switch over to the rifle ability, use rifle 4 for the debuff. I'm constantly trying to keep vulnerability stacked on him, use a rifle 3 channel, and then I sit down here and get an 8400 crit from Killshot, because, you know, as you noticed from the previous clip, when he killed me after the Moa morph, he didn't dodge the previous kill shot. So
boom, and there you go. That was sort of like a little couple of minutes of, or a minute or so of Talgrim in his glory. And if you're into PvP, because sometimes, a lot of the time that I find when I'm watching PvP content, it's a lot to do with it basically gets a little bit dragged out, and you sort of feel like you're almost working, you know, like when you're at school or when you're at college or whatever, and you're just studying, and you know you have to do it to get good at what you want to do, but it's getting a little bit of a drag. Talgrim just makes everything so much better to watch, just his commentary and the way he talks you through everything, and also it's ridiculously educational. So if you want to get better at PvP, he not only does he play warrior, he plays through all different professions, he gets good with them, and he teaches you guys about them, as well as going over builds. He also has his own blog, which he writes up about. So if you prefer the sort of reading way of learning PvP, then he's also got a blog, so you can go off and check that out. So just check him out. Obviously his link to his channel will be in the description, and you can do the rest yourselves. So finally, the one last thing, as you notice, there's another tab up here, which KaeyiDream did a complete dungeon gear and weapons preview. Now this is female, there is the male one down here, I think, and yeah, as I sort of wrap up here, I'm going to have this in the background, so if you want to see all of the previewed dungeon gear that you can get, Kai's video would also be in the link in the description, so you can go check that out, because I thought this was an awesome thing to do, to take time out of your beta weekend experience and just go through all the previews of female and male. And yeah, so that's just awesome. And yeah, so what I'm going to do, actually, I'm going to skip ahead a little bit so we can see some of the more awesome stuff. So 5 minutes, there we go. So as you can see, oh my days, looking absolutely awesome. And yeah, there we go. So the last thing I wanted to come on to, guys, as I take that back to full screen, was emails. Now, I tried this earlier on with Tyria, but I never really got much of a response, so I couldn't really do it properly every week or so. But what I want to do, each week, I want to do an email section where I talk about what you guys have handed in. So I want you guys to say, for example, even if you've taken an awesome screenshot, if you've got an awesome video clip of World v World or something, or a jumping puzzle or something really funny that you did, or if you want to write in a question or a comment or anything to do with Guild Wars 2, or say, hey, I think in Guild Wars 2 they could change this, because, you know, like, anything that you think could be changed, could be improved, because you got to remember, like what I said at the start, Tyria is all about just talking about Guild Wars 2 casually, and I want you guys to be a little bit more involved with it, because yeah, I'm about community, and I want to sort of build a better community with Tyria, so I want you guys to be more involved. So I want to do an email section where you guys can just write in and tell me pretty much anything to do with Guild Wars 2 that you want. Maybe you've had an awesome World v World moment, or awesome structured PvP content, pretty much anything. And I also remember that I could do this, I could feature some of your videos, I could show you a few clips. So if you've got some really interesting videos that you want to show me, or that someone else has done, anything, and I will do it in the email section, and we will talk over it and have a nice giggle at some Guild Wars 2 stuff. So pretty much with that all said, that about wraps it up for this episode. I know it's been sort of short and sweet, but I was testing out this new sort of XSplit style. Like I say, I'm looking to transition into going to a live podcast style in episode 8 and from there on, really, just because a lot of people like live podcasts, and it's pretty much exactly like this would be on YouTube, but it'll also be live. So all it is adding to the experience. And of course I'm looking to have it as an iTunes podcast as well, so it's all going to be good, probably. And again, no World v World stuff this time. You probably think, Phil, why don't you talk about World v World at all? And that's actually because I haven't played World v World. I've been into World v World, I've done all of that, but I haven't actually played any of it. Because of my FPS, I just can't see myself having fun with such low FPS. I know it's still awesome, and you know, you get high FPS in places and what have you, but I'm just waiting till the game comes out for World v World. But that's what I want you guys for, you know. If you've got any epic World v World things that you want to talk about, or how they can change it, what they can improve on it, what you think they should add, whatever, just email it in to philetic@gmail.com, and that would also be in the description below and in the show notes and what have you. So yeah, definitely do that, because that would be absolutely awesome. And as we come to a close here, I just want to thank everybody for watching this one. It hasn't been to the best quality, I suppose, that I would have liked it, but I still hope you had a good time, and lots more interesting videos to come from the Beta Weekend 3. I'm going to try to pump them all out before the game releases, and like I say, keep your eyes open for that Fire Elemental one, because that one was a pretty awesome fight if you haven't seen it. So that's definitely going to get uploaded sometime soon. And of course, Tyria episode 8 will be next week, going live. So guys, thanks for watching. Make sure to follow me on Twitter if you want more frequent updates and what have you. And guys, I will see you all next time.